You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 41.
Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from EduCalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life. Hey everyone, welcome to the Balanced Educator Podcast. If you're new to the show or if you've been listening for a while, welcome. We invite you to subscribe so that we can connect with you every Monday when our episodes come out. We want to thank you all for leaving us reviews. If you haven't done so yet, take a minute of your time. Please go leave us a review because it makes a huge difference for us to grow our listenership and our audience. It makes a big difference for our small business. And it's really what gives us that oomph to just keep on going with the podcast. Now, this week, we are interviewing Melissa Russell. Melissa writes about creating a simpler, more intentional life by decluttering and embracing minimalism at Simple Lionheart Life. Minimalism and simplifying have had such a positive impact on Melissa's life, giving her so much more time, space, and freedom. So much so that she's made it her mission to share the benefits of creating a simpler life. Melissa shares motivation, encouragement, and practical advice to help people get rid of the clutter and create a life with less stuff and more living. We've been following Melissa for quite some time now, and we absolutely love what she does. And we're very excited to share her message with you all. Now, we recorded this episode in September, and there's a point where Melissa talks about how it was snowing already. We get all kinds of crazy weather here in Canada, especially in the prairies. Before we head on to the show, I just wanted to remind you that enrollment for EduCalm Classroom will remain open. We had put a deadline on it and we decided to remove it. If you are from Manitoba and you missed out on the November 9th in-person workshop where you also receive a full year subscription to EduCalm Classroom, we also have a second one coming up on January 10th, 2019. So if that's something you're interested in, you can register at www.educalm.com/EduCalm Classroom PD. And EduCalm is spelled EduCalme. All right, let's get on with the show. Hi, Melissa. Can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Well, hi, I'm Melissa from Simple Lionheart Life. I blog about decluttering, simplifying, minimalism. Basically, my message that I try to get out is to have less stuff and more life. So you get rid of the excess, the clutter, just so you can do the things you love and spend time with the people you love.
I love that. And I a few times have gone down the rabbit hole of reading your blog. You've got so much on there, like could be there a whole day. It's amazing.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, you're a great writer. And yeah, I've just really enjoyed kind of following your journey. And I'm so excited that you're here to chat with us.
I'm really excited too. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Okay, so tell me about your journey into minimalism. Where did this start? And
well, it started with a bottle of lotion, if you can believe it.
Interesting.
My daughter, when she was about 18 months or so, she was, just a very typical toddler, and she got into everything, anything she could get her hands on. And I was a person who had lots of stuff. Like I had it all organized neatly, but there was a lot of it.
Okay.
And every day, she would get into this stuff and pull it all out, and I would feel frustrated. And one day while I was having a quick shower, she found this big bottle of glittery, runny lotion. And while I was in the shower, she managed to dump it out all over the carpet and the furniture and herself. And oh, I just came out and I thought, this is ridiculous. Like, why do I have all this stuff that we're not using or needing? So that kind of sparked like a big decluttering. I was like, enough is enough. I've spent so much time and energy picking up stuff after she gets into it every day. It's ridiculous. So I started, I just grabbed a laundry basket and started going around the house and looking for anything that I didn't really like, we didn't need, we weren't using. And it just, right away I started to see that life is easier and better when I got rid of all this stuff. And I had more time for my daughter and I wasn't feeling so frustrated with just how much time I wasted picking up every day. And so, that bottle of lotion was kind of the moment that sparked it all and sent me down this path.
That is so interesting and such a unique story. I love that. And actually, I was actually wondering, like, how does this work with kids? Because, typically we think like kids come with a lot of stuff, right? Like even we talk about babies, right? When the baby's born, the baby doesn't take a lot of space, but the baby's stuff takes up like the whole house.
It's so true,
I'm just curious, like, how does this work with your kids?
Well, it's true. Like kids, I wish I had started this actually before we had any kids, because it is true. Like we're kind of told that you need all this stuff when you have a baby and it takes over, and really you don't need that much. And I found, with kids, it does add kind of an extra challenge to the process because, kids are the kind of, they see things and maybe it's been in their closet for months or the bottom of the toy box for months and nobody's cared about it. And then you go to get rid of it and it's their favorite toy ever and they can't live without it. So, it adds a bit of a challenge, but I've also found that kids are like experts at just living in the moment. And so I noticed my own kids quickly realized that the less time I spent picking up and taking care of stuff, the more time I had to have fun with them and, do games and play and go on adventures. And so I found that they quickly picked up on that, a cranky mom who's frustrated picking up crap from all over the house every day doesn't make for a very fun mom.
Yeah.
And a mom who, has time to play is a lot better. So that was how I really kind of got my kids on board, as I said, you know what? We would spend less time picking up and cleaning up and mom yelling to clean up when we just get rid of some stuff and only keep the stuff we really love.
And have you seen that like happen? Like now that you're really embracing this lifestyle, do you find that you do have more time with your kids? Do you find that you're a more joyful family? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, I think for sure. Like, we do a lot of fun activities and, what used to take me a lot of time to just kind of pick up and keep up with the house, I don't do that anymore. I mean, our house, we still live here and my kids are still expert mess makers and they, just yesterday they turned our entire living room into an obstacle course and there was stuff everywhere. But even on those, the worst of the worst messes, it only takes us like 10 minutes to clean up. And then it's just not that big of a deal anymore. And so we have a lot of fun and, there's just less time sucked up by the things we own and we do more fun things. We do crafts, we color, we go places. It's just, I've noticed we are just happier. And even for me, myself, I get stressed by messes and clutter. And so getting rid of that just takes that source of stress away right away.
That makes so much sense. And also like, I don't know if this is something you want to talk about, but maybe on the financial side, do you see a difference?
Yes, totally. Yeah. We are big fans of doing things instead of buying things. So, the less you buy, the more financial freedom you have to use your money in a way that works for you. So it's like a great thing when you can say, instead of buying that, let's go on this fun weekend trip somewhere. And we've actually, my daughter, every year for her birthday, probably since she was about 2, we've asked her, do you want to have a birthday party with your friends and have your friends over? Or do you want to go into the city and go to the wave pool and go swimming? And every year she's picked, the adventure and the trip. And we think like, it's just cool that we can have the freedom to choose how we want to spend our money instead of just buying stuff and accumulating more.
Yeah. And like the values that you're instilling in your kids, right? Like that's in itself amazing because they're going to grow up to choose experiences over things too, probably.
Yeah. Like that's what we hope, is that they'll see that, minimalism isn't about depriving yourself or doing without. It's actually about making choices and choosing what you love and what matters most to you, and then going after those things.
Okay, so your kids are, can you tell me their ages?
My daughter is 7 and my little guy is 4.
Okay. And yeah, that's just amazing that you've been able to work out this minimalism thing with kids that age. And I feel like I saw somewhere, either in your social media or on a blog post, that you talked about like switching up their toys. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like the why, the how, all of that?
Yeah, for sure. So we have like a toy rotation that we do. And that basically, I started doing that because, well, first of all, I got sick of having so many toys out at one time. And, the kids, they get overwhelmed by too many choices and they don't play with all of that stuff at once. And, I noticed they would get bored with things, and something that they played with a lot, they would kind of stop playing with. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to put some away for a while and then we'll just rotate them back in. And so there's so many good things about that. Like for one, there's less stuff out. So it's easy to, pick up and keep the playroom kind of under control. And I've found that they get excited when I bring out the new, the toys that have been away. It's like brand new toys again. And they are excited to play with them, and they play better and longer, and they get deeper into their play. And yeah, I've just found that it's an easy way to have fewer toys out, but still keep things interesting. And we live in central Alberta, so similar to you, we have like very long, cold, terrible winters. So we spend a lot of time, in the house in the winter, and we go a little stir crazy sometimes. And so I found it's just like magical if I can bring out, 5 new toys they haven't played with for a few months, and it just buys us some peace and some excitement and some good playtime during those months, especially.
That's so awesome. So how do you think, and I'm putting you on the spot here because I know you're not a teacher. Well, you are a teacher just in different ways, but not your typical classroom teacher. How do you think we could bring this concept of minimalism with kids into the classroom?
Well, I think, first of all, I should just say, like you said, I'm not a teacher, and I have major respect for teachers because it's all I can do to handle my own 2 kids some days. So huge kudos to teachers out there.
I agree.
But I think, just the idea of keeping it simple and knowing that just like anyone else, kids can get overwhelmed by too many choices, and too much can just kind of be overstimulating, and it's hard to make a decision when there's just so many things to see and do. So I think, if you are able to simplify and maybe get rid of the stuff that isn't adding a lot of value to your classroom, and then a toy rotation, or I guess not a toy rotation, but a rotation of books and learning materials and supplies. Yeah. Like that's a great way to kind of keep things fresh, but then have less stuff out, and, just make it easier for kids to focus and get creative. And it's interesting. I've read a study, a German group went into a kindergarten class and took away all of the toys just to see what would happen. And so they found that, at first the kids were bored because all their toys were gone. But really quickly they started, using their imaginations and getting creative and making up their own games and their own play. And I thought, that's so great. It's such a good reminder because kids are like naturals. They're experts at playing and
Yes.
discovering and exploring. Sometimes I think when we have too much, we actually get in the way of that process.
Yeah.
And so, we have good intentions. We want to give them all these things to help them learn and grow and do what they like to do. But too much of a good thing becomes not a good thing sometimes. So I think just remembering that, like giving them time and space and just the opportunity to get creative and figure out how to entertain themselves. And just keep it simple.
I feel like boredom is very important for children. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I totally agree.
Because
it's when we're constantly entertaining and giving them something to do, they never get to develop that brain muscle where they come up with their own enjoyment and figure out what they like.
Yeah. Like I always see that boredom is kind of the path to creativity, right? To exactly like you said, using that imagination, because guess what? You have to get creative when there's nothing to do.
Yeah,
to keep
that's right. And having that skill to be able to say, oh, I'm bored. Oh, but I could do this or this or this. Like that's a good life skill.
And I feel like sometimes as teachers or parents, we're so quick to be like, oh, you're bored? Do this. Oh, you're bored? Do this. But if we just kind of let them kind of simmer in their boredom a little bit, I feel like that's when kind of awesome things come out of these kids.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I totally agree. Yeah. I think that boredom is a good thing for all kids to
I think like for teachers, it's always like kind of a difficult thing because it's like you want to give them that chance to be creative, but you're still trying to manage your classroom. So it's like, and I don't know if you feel similar about it at home. Do you feel like when your kids are bored, it's kind of more work for you because you have to manage them a little bit more because they can get themselves into trouble a bit more?
Yeah. When they get bored, they do, sometimes do things that aren't awesome, start misbehaving or, poking each other and bugging each other. But, I think that, once you can get past that point and find, ways to say like, okay, it seems like you have nothing to do. You need to go find something to do. What do you think you could do? And just kind of taking it off of like the teacher or the parent to provide that and say, like, you need to find something to do that's not bugging your brother or the kid beside you. Or
I love that. Just guiding them, like teaching them that they have the power to come up with something new to do to keep themselves busy or whatever it may be. I love that. Yeah.
And like with our obstacle course yesterday, I mean, sometimes it can lead to, creative, messy, big play, and that's okay too. Like it's not always going to be, they're going to go get a coloring book and color a pretty picture without making a mess at all. Like sometimes it's going to be, something that you maybe wouldn't have chosen, but it's awesome in itself because you watch them like use their minds and their imaginations and bring this out, and it's neat to see.
I remember as a kid like turning our whole basement into like tents with blankets and things, and now I'm thinking like, wow, my parents they just handled that. It's pretty good of them.
Fourths are always
that's right. Okay, so now I feel like I want to move away a little bit from talking about minimalism with kids and kind of talk about how minimalism works, how you've embraced it in your life, like your personal adult mom life. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I have basically tried to simplify everything I can. I have found the more I've gotten into it, the more I've realized that it's actually so much better and easier, and it's just kind of spurred me on and encouraged more. So one of my favorite simplifying projects is what I've done with my clothes. I have what's called a capsule wardrobe, and that's just like a fancy way of saying a small collection of clothes. And that, I thought like, well, who cares? Your clothes are in your closet. It doesn't really make that much of a difference in your life. But, yeah, when I simplified and got rid of everything I wasn't wearing and only kept the stuff I really love, I realized like, man, this is so easy to get dressed, and getting dressed is fun. And like in the mornings, I can go in my closet and it's easy. Everything is something I want to wear and I'm excited to wear. And that's been one of my favorite simplifying projects to date.
So tell me how you manage that with 4 very distinct seasons that we have here in Canada. Because like Kaylee and I are working on the capsule wardrobe, but what we're finding difficult is the whole like, well, one day within 24 hours, it'll go from -10 to +10. How do I handle that? Right? So tell me, what's the trick?
Yes, that's a challenge. Like I feel jealous of people who make a capsule wardrobe where, like where every day is 20 degrees and you just have one climate. So I do seasonal ones. Like I have a summer and a winter capsule wardrobe, and then they kind of blend together in the spring and the fall. Because like you said, I mean, we've had snow already in September. And, it's terrible. So we've had lots of weather. So what I find is I do have some like specific winter and some specific summer clothes, like shorts and then really warm sweaters, like that kind of thing. But I have a lot of pieces that I can layer and that can work together. So I'll often wear, a tank top in the summer and then wear it under a sweater in the winter and that kind of thing. So I keep some really seasonal clothes in storage in our spare bedroom when they're out of season, just because, I don't need like my big heavy sweaters in my closet in the summer. And I just find that they're just distracting and add visual clutter for me there. So I put them away when I don't need them. And then I bring them back out, when it's time for them. So yeah, I do lots of layering, lots of, things that I can wear in summer and then wear again in winter, and then store the out of season clothes. That's my solution.
So you have like a tub somewhere in your basement or whatever that you switch things out with.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the great thing. Like the more you declutter and simplify elsewhere in your house, our spare bedroom closet is basically empty. So I have ample room to store those things just kind of away when I don't need them. So it all works together.
So like how do you create a capsule wardrobe? What are some of the steps that you would take to do this? I'm sure our audience is curious if they've never heard of this term before.
Yeah. I think getting rid of clothes is something that is hard for a lot of people. Like I know a lot of people struggle with that.
Yep.
So, the way I did it is I gathered every single item of clothing I owned and put them all on my bed, which in itself was kind of like a shock factor, because you see all this clothes, that you have maybe in your dresser and in your closet, and then you see it all at once and you think like, wow,
how do I buy all of this?
Yeah, exactly. And you think like, oh man. So I took everything out, and then I started going through piece by piece, and if it was something I loved and I wore it all the time, I put it in that pile. And if I knew I didn't wear it, didn't like it, put it in the giveaway pile. And then everything else I kind of put in the maybe pile. And so when I was done that, I think I had about like 40 pieces in my love pile. And these were the things that I, wear all the time. They're always the first things I reach for, and all of my favorites. So I knew like that basically was my capsule wardrobe. That's what I was already wearing all the time. I just had all this extra stuff in there. So then once I knew that, then I went back to the maybe pile, and I decided, you know what? If I don't love it, it shouldn't even be in here. So I started trying everything on, and that too was a big game changer, because, sometimes you have things and you're like, well, this is a really nice shirt and I spent a lot of money, or, whatever. And then you put it on, and I would put it on and like really give myself a critical look. And I would think, you know what? It doesn't really look that good. Or, that was something that I wore 10 years ago and it looks like it's 10 years old. So it was just really trying each of those things on and seeing if I really loved them or if I didn't. And a lot of them I didn't. And then I'm kind of a scaredy cat sometimes with like big commitments. So for me, I thought like I can't get rid of all my clothes right now and only keep these 40 things. So what I did was I boxed up all the maybes and I just put them away. I put them down in the basement in a box and I put a little reminder in my phone for I think 3 months. And so then I came back 3 months later and I thought, well, for one, I haven't needed or wanted anything out of that box for the entire 3 months. And then for two, I thought, maybe I don't really love them as much as I thought I did if I haven't even thought about them the whole time they were there. So that little bit of like time and space away from those things made me realize I don't really love those things. And then it was a lot easier to get rid of them without being afraid.
That I love that. And also I feel like that is so useful that like you could use that in any part of your house, right? Anything you want to simplify. So like you could do this with kitchen items, you know?
Yes, I'm a big fan of like just experimenting living with less. So even our dishes, for example, we had a set of 12 dishes because that's what it came with. So I had 12 dishes and 12 place settings. And then one day I thought, like, I don't really we're a family of 4. When do we need 12 plates? So I'm like, I'm just going to put half of them away and just see what happens. So I did the same thing. I put them in my maybe box and I put them away and I didn't miss them. So now we have 6 place settings and we never miss the extras. And I just think it's a good way to try it without committing fully.
Yeah. So like this capsule wardrobe, now you open your closet and you're probably like, like you can breathe, right? As you're picking your clothes in the morning. Is that how you feel? Like,
oh, totally. Yeah. It just feels like everything. I love everything. And I even, once my closet was so much emptier, I put a picture up in my closet, like a little framed quote that I love. And it's just, so now I open my closet and it's like a little happy room for me, and I don't try 10 things on each morning to try to figure out what I'm going to wear. Like I know everything in there is something I like. So it's so much easier and happier and it's just nice to get dressed.
And have you done this in other areas? Like we were talking about the kitchen. Have you kind of done this in every room in your house? Like you must feel so good when you're walking around in your house and doing things.
Yeah, I do. I've tried to minimize pretty much every area of our house. And I do. It's so nice. Like when you open up a space that's clutter-free or walk into a room that, is just things you love and there's no mess or clutter. Like it's just refreshing and I feel happy in our home. And yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And it's also, it's a process. Like it's not something that you do at once and you're done. I've found like, stuff makes its way into your house and
especially with kids,
maybe the season of, yeah, exactly. They bring a lot and the season of life you're in changes. Like, now my little guy is 4, so we don't need any of the baby stuff we did need when he was littler. And so it's kind of a process where I try to always evaluate what's in our house and if we're actually using it or if it's just adding clutter and no value to our lives. So yeah, even now, like it's our house is fairly clutter free, but it's easy to continue simplifying and decluttering even more.
Okay, so for you, this is something that you're always working on. It's not like something you did once and then that was it. It's a journey kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, our lives aren't static. Yeah. It's a journey and our lives, change and evolve and shift. And so do the things we need and the things we use. And yeah, like you said, with kids, they just bring a lot of stuff home with them a lot. So it's always kind of just a process of once you've done like the big decluttering, then it's a matter of like maintaining that at a place where you feel is enough for you.
And how has this concept of simplifying, minimizing, how has that affected other areas of your life? Like not so much your home space, but beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of impacts everything. Like, we spend more time as a family together. We've made the choice to kind of keep our schedule simplified and only do the things that are important to us and that add value to our lives. So, that again is about making choices and being intentional with how we spend our time. And sometimes it means saying no to things that would be fun or could be fun, because we know that that is going to get in the way of something even better. So we kind of say no to the good so we can say yes to the great stuff. Yeah, and it's even for me personally, like it's opened up the opportunity to start my blog and start my business and given me this extra time. And I just feel happier and calmer and better. I feel like I can be a better mom, a better friend, a better wife, a better person when I just have this freedom and this time and space in my life.
That's amazing. That's like a huge impact on your life. Just going from like it started from this bottle of lotion to now you feel like you have more time, you can take better care of yourself and your loved ones. Like that's so special.
Yeah, it's pretty huge, the impact it has. And I wasn't really prepared for that. I didn't know that's where I was heading when I started, and I didn't realize that just getting rid of the stuff in your house that you're not using could be so awesome. Like I didn't even, it has been special and a wonderful surprise.
It's really interesting to me, and Kaylee and I were talking about this, that Kaylee and I both kind of started our mindfulness journeys when we were kind of feeling overwhelmed, and as teachers, like trying to balance our professional, personal lives, like it was a lot for us. So we kind of started our mindfulness practice, which then we realized, like, especially in this past year, I would say when we've really gone deeper into all of this, now, like our mindfulness practice has led us to want to simplify and to want to make, like, to get rid of the clutter, like the physical clutter, but also like you said, like the time clutter, right? Like filling my time with things that don't matter to me or whatever. So that's been like huge, that transition for us. But your transition seems to be going the other way around. Like you started from minimalism and now you're kind of, it sounds like you are becoming such a mindful person.
Yes. That was another thing that I wasn't exactly expecting. I didn't really think that minimalism and mindfulness could really fit together. But as I've gone on this journey, I've realized that they kind of have like a circular relationship, I would say, where minimalism leads to more mindfulness, and then mindfulness can lead to simplifying and being more intentional. And maybe that looks like minimalism for you. So yeah, I think there's like quite a strong connection between the two, actually.
So what does mindfulness mean to you?
Well, my favorite kind of definition or explanation of mindfulness is from Leah Weiss. She's a Stanford professor, I believe, and she's an author as well. And I heard her on a podcast, and she said that mindfulness is the intentional use of attention. And that one just so clicked for me, because I thought that's what it is. Like, it's being aware and intentional about where your attention is and bringing it back to the present.
I love that. And I feel like I learned that definition through one of your posts. That, yeah, I love that too. And I kind of latched onto that definition as well. I love that. It's so simple. It's so clear. It's so good.
Yeah, it is. It just makes so much sense.
So how do you share mindfulness with your family? How does this impact your family? Let's say, how does this change things for you as a family?
Yeah. Well, I think like first, the more I simplified and decluttered our lives, the more I realized how much everything we choose to own takes up some of our time and our space and our energy and our attention. So I started realizing that I don't want to spend my time and energy and attention on things that don't matter to me, that don't add any value to my life. So as I started this process, I started simplifying and realizing that. And then I realized that I had the power to be intentional about how I spent my time. So that led me personally to be more mindful. And I started, being aware of where my attention was and what I was doing and how distracted I was during the day. And so that I realized if I could get rid of some of this stuff, I could be more present with my kids, and I could, connect and play with them more and just connect more and be present. So that's kind of for me personally. And then, as I strengthened my mindfulness practice, both formally, like through meditation, and then informally, I thought, this could be something cool that I could share with my kids as well. I could show them how to do this. And so that's when we started actually using Educom Family, because even though I knew for myself how to, meditate or have a mindfulness practice, I had no idea how to translate that for my kids. They're quite little, and I thought, well, that's boring for them. How can I make this a way, presented in a way that's fun and exciting? And so, yeah, that's where Educom Family has come in for us, because it just made it so easy. And I'm not a teacher, and I could not figure out how to translate it for them.
I think that's a pretty common thing that parents and teachers tell us, right? Like, if it's something that they find important for themselves, they don't quite know how to share it with kids. So,
yeah, I think I thought of it as a very kind of an abstract concept and too tricky to explain for kids. So that's what I just love that it's not actually, and kids just soak it up and are just naturals at it. And I thought it's really interesting how fun and easy it's been for them to embrace it.
I love that. And I feel like we're going to get into a whole other episode about this, on this topic, specifically mindfulness with kids in a family setting.
Yes.
That will be awesome. Okay. For now, I have one last question for you. So from where you are today, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing I would say is to just start embracing less sooner. I think about all of the time and money I have wasted on stuff. And I think, if I only would have known how good life can be with less, back then, imagine how much more time and energy and money I would have. So that would be my biggest thing, is just to embrace less, focus on what matters and get rid of the rest. And yeah, it's just so nice to have time and energy available for the things that really matter to you instead of accumulating stuff.
Less is more.
That's right.
That is awesome advice. Okay, so where can we find you?
Okay, yeah, you can find me on my blog. It's simplelionheartlife.com. And on there, on the top menu bar, I also have a link for a Facebook group called Simple Lionheart Life. And it's a really great community if you're interested in simplifying and want to start the process and find support and encouragement and a place to ask your questions. It's just a wonderful community, and I really recommend joining there. You can also find me on Instagram. My username is Simple Lionheart Life. And there I share my journey through simplifying and decluttering and tips and tricks that I have learned along the way. And then if you are really ready to dive in and totally declutter your home and your life and transform your life, I also have a decluttering course called Simply Uncluttered that you can find on my blog as well. And it's like a absolutely thorough step-by-step process of decluttering and simplifying every room and area in your home so that you can, basically what I like to think of it is the very next best thing to having me there beside you, guiding you through the decluttering process. So it's thorough, and it will take you through the entire process. So those are some of the ways you can find me.
That's awesome. And we love following you, and I think that everyone should go and follow you on Instagram right now, because you always have very useful things to share, and we appreciate it.
Well,
and we appreciate you.
I'm glad.
Okay, thank you so much.
Same here. You're welcome. welcome. Thanks for having me.
So I hope that you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. I feel like Melissa has a lot of very practical, useful, applicable tips that we can get started with right away. So your exit ticket today is to go leave us a review in iTunes. It's really simple. It'll only take a second. All you have to do is open up the iTunes podcast app, find us, find our podcast, the Balanced Educator Podcast, scroll down to the bottom, and then there should be a space there that says write a review, and then go ahead, write a review and publish it. And thank you for taking the time to do that. So appreciated. Now, what are we up to this week? We are getting ready for our PD workshop here in Winnipeg called EduCalm Classroom, Daily Guided Mindfulness Practices and Curriculum to Support Student and Teacher Well-Being, Classroom Management, Resiliency, and Learning. And again, if you missed out on this one, you can register for the next one if you're in Manitoba. It will be on January 10th of 2019, and you can register for it by going to www.educalm.com/educalm classroom PD. We're also working on some subscription content and also getting ready for some other workshops that we'll be doing in the next month. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your time with us, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week.
Hey there, Balanced Educator. We appreciate you and the work that you're doing in the world. We are here to support you, so we've created a free resource library for you to use anytime you want. Resources for mindfulness for you and your kiddos at home or in the classroom. You can get these free resources by going to www.educalm.com/The Balanced Educator. Again, that's www.educalm, that's spelled EduCalme.com/The Balanced Educator. Thank you for being a part of our EduCalm community.